Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is a video, a little bit of an update really. I just thought, you know what, I'm about to install something onto this MP5SD6, but I've been playing now the last 4 days in a row. Technically the last 2 days in a row, like actual gameplay at an actual site, and then 2 days of going to like a shooting range kind of style airsoft site. Everyone, this is airsoft, this is not real, so don't demonetize. So basically, I thought I'd just sit down and I'm going to do this install, but I thought I would just kind of give you guys an update of what I've been up to in the last couple of days. You may have seen some of the shorts and the like gameplay that I posted on there, but thought it might be kind of a cool, just little like mid-trip update. I've got a game tomorrow, which is Saturday, and also another game on Sunday. So it's going to be pretty intense. I've got so much footage already. I am kind of slightly dreading going through and editing all of it because it is not my most fun thing to do. So I'm going to try and pull some clips here and there. Definitely subscribe and like set your notifications so you can see the like shorts clips come up. But to give you an update on last night, basically I was actually in Birmingham. So I ended up messaging with Jaeger Precision, who many of you guys will know. He was actually watching one of the sites. In fact, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing here first, then I'll like go to that. Anyway, this little like adapter, kind of like top rail, which clamped onto the top of the MP5SD6. I actually didn't notice it when I ordered it, but it actually has like M-Lok rails that come along the top here. I wasn't sure if they were M-Lok or if they were just kind of like skeleton cuts. But when I saw that, I was like, hey, it's very hard to mount things onto the handguard of this MP5SD6. Like there is no mount. There's no Picatinny. There's no M-Lok. However, when I put this here, I was like, the one thing that I am missing from this, especially because it's going to be a CQB weapon, is the flashlight. And yesterday I actually used this and didn't have a flashlight on it. And I definitely felt the difference in my gameplay. Like I like to shine lights in people's eyes. So I actually ordered an Olight. It didn't arrive in time. It just turned up. So I was like, actually, it's probably a good time to just do an install on it. But I've got these lights. I really like them. They are meant for real steel firearms. But I have to say, like, I have got a couple of them in the US, and I love how modular they are. Basically, this is like the mount that's going to go on there. It's going to attach M-Lok, and then it's got a couple of rail. It's got a rail here. That rail will slot into this piece on the actual flashlight. You can slide it in either way. Goes in, locks in, and then you can just twist this little knob, and it stops you from being able to push that to release it. You twist it back to open. Push that down, and then I can just slide this out, which means you can actually switch this between different replicas. Like you could have these mounts on all of your replicas and then just take this one light and do it. Other things I really like is the charging on this is like super easy. It's like a magnet, so you can literally just like put that on there and just charge it with a USB. This is a push button on the back. It's a really like nice, intuitive, like you just push and touch and then it will kind of come on. You click it in, it'll stay on. It's bright, super bright, as you can see from the video. And then also, it uses this same magnetic system for stuff like the switch. So you can just click that on. I can push this ring in, and that locks it. I can pull the ring back, and that allows me to pull it off. And then you have a switch which goes on here, and that is, like, I can push that and use it as I want. Same thing, hold, it doesn't stay on, touch it, it stays on. So I really like these, but the main reason I was like, oh, this could actually work really well, and I haven't put this on yet, is that actually it has this angled M-Lok piece that it comes with, and I think that sitting on the top could work really well. So I actually need to get my tools, which I will grab here. But the plan is going to be basically just to install this and then to see how it works. I don't really think I'm going to run the switch just because I don't really have anywhere to mount it to. I could try and tape the switch to the actual handrail. With the MP5, you've obviously got the charging handle, which is here. So that really does affect, it does affect, like, if I'm going to be able to use that in a certain location. I obviously can't put it there. So I think at the moment, I'm going to see if ergonomically I can, like, not use the switch and then just kind of, like, use the back of my thumb to push it as I need it. But we'll figure that as we're going. So I'm going to do the install, and I can kind of like talk to you guys about everything else while I'm doing that. Should be pretty quick. And then I'm going to talk about these little guys here quickly after that. So yesterday I was up in Birmingham. Basically, I was actually uploading the video, I think, of me unboxing my Fife War Games order, which was an order that included these, the Jaeger Precision Impacts, or the Jaeger Impacts. In that video, and actually there is a 10% discount. So if you want to get 10% off one of these, I think they're normally about £129, and you can get a 10% off that if you use the code 6mm Badger. It's in that video, so 6mm Badger. If you use it on fifewargames.com, they'll give you 10% off. But I basically was in the premiere of that video. I always premiere the videos. I'm in the live chat. I was doing that premiere and saw that someone who I know very well, this man, well, I don't know him at all. I didn't know him. This man here, Mr. Jaeger Precision, was actually in the chat and kind of turned around and answered a couple of the questions. So I was like, oh, wow. The guy who I actually have like watched for a long time and like is a big inspiration on my channel, Jaeger Precision, is chatting in the chat. And so I think I messaged him just saying, hey, mate, it's too small. Thank you for coming on the video, and are you available to play? I actually maybe messaged him before that, just saying, hey, are you available to play while I'm here in the UK? Is there any sites on a Thursday or a Friday? Anyway, he sent a couple of messages back. He was like, actually, I could play at HC2 Airsoft if you come up to the West Midlands, up to the outskirts of Birmingham. At which point I was like, okay, let me see if I can make this work. So I actually looked at HC2 Airsoft. I was like, this site looks amazing. Booked a Premier Inn. So like if you're in the US, a Premier Inn is kind of like a cheap motel. It's kind of like it's like a travel lodge. I think we've got those there. That would be my like kind of like comparison to it. Let me hope that this is actually going to go in here. Now I've done all this and now it's actually not going to actually go on. Okay, it is good. I basically booked a travel lodge and looked at where the site was, booked a ticket for the site, and was like messaging back just saying, hey, I'm coming. Like, I'll see you there on Thursday. So that was yesterday. Today's Friday. And so I messaged him. Obviously, he was like such a nice guy. Said, yeah, absolutely, I'll come and play with you. So I got to the site, went and basically played at HC2 Airsoft with the Jaeger Precision last night, which, as I said to him at the time, I'm like, this is pretty weird. It's like, you know, it's probably when I've like seen some guys this week who've like recognized me. It's like you see someone and you feel like you know them, because especially when it's like you're talking to the camera, you're like constantly like back and forward. And he's exactly like he is on camera. He said that to me as well. He was like, hey, most people who meet me, they're like, you're exactly like you are on camera, which he is. And so I was like, this is quite weird because I'm almost talking to you as if I know you. And then there's like certain conversations where it's like, I know you've done a video on this, so I'm kind of asking follow-up questions about that. And it's almost like you've kind of like got some relationship with this person, but they've not really got an idea who you are. Obviously, they haven't really like spoken to or talked to you. He'd watched a couple of my videos, I think, so he kind of knows some stuff about me. But it was just awesome. Like this site is pretty cool. To be honest, that was probably the most easy install I've ever done as well. Let me just see. So what I could do, I think this works really well. So you can see here, little interlude. This is where I've like mounted the Olight. It's kind of perfect where it's just out the way of the iron sights. It does block the iron sights slightly if I'm looking straight down through here. But actually, if I decided I needed to use the iron sights instead of this, then I would just take the flashlight off and use the iron sights. It does protrude a little bit, but it doesn't get in the way. Like if I got the charging handle there, like it's properly out the way. And then what is kind of cool is like where I'm grabbing that handguard there, my thumb can kind of rest on the back here, and then I can just kind of press it in fairly easily. It's almost like I know where it is. I don't think I'd have my hand there naturally all the time, but if I'm coming into a room round a corner, I can kind of feel for it and then just push that and I can use it pretty easily. So I think that's actually going to work perfectly. That's as far forward as I can get it. It is kind of like quite far off, so it does hit the side of the suppressor, but it's not too bad. So yeah, so I think that's going to be done. Switch, I could try and run a switch and like put it under here. I'd probably take this Picatinny mount off because we don't have any Picatinny to mount it. I could try and just kind of like have it maybe tape mounted there and then use it that way, which would actually work pretty well as well. But for right now, I'll try it out like this, just as it is, and kind of we'll go from there. Anyway, so continuing the story, went to HC2, turned up at like 5 o'clock, I think 5:30. They start at the first game at 7, but they're doing chrono, they're getting ready. I'll have some clips of it for you guys. This site was awesome. Like if you live in the West Midlands, if you live near Birmingham, Nottingham, like anywhere of that zone, it is 100% worth the trip. I think they do a Thursday night game, a Saturday and a Sunday, and really cool like shipping, like industrial, not shipping, like an industrial kind of like complex that you drive into. And the actual site's on the first floor, what I would call the second floor in the US. And it's got an incredible store. Like the actual shop there is like fully decked out, really nicely laid out. I actually bought another one of these, which I was very lucky because these are the limited edition ones and they had a couple more just there in the shop. So I managed to pick one of these up. It's got this kind of really nice safe zone, tons and tons of space. And then you go upstairs into the actual field. And if you watch Jaeger Precision's videos, which I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you watch my videos, you probably have watched his videos or know who he is because he's a lot bigger YouTuber than I am. He has been doing his kind of like fire drills there. So he'll be with the smart targets where he's going through shooting those little smart targets in those different areas. Like that's at that place, HC2. So again, it was quite weird where it's like I walk in and I'm like, oh, I recognize this place. I like know where this zone is because I've seen him start his little like time drills in there. So I went up there. We played 3 different game types, which the one thing I would say about this place is they really like put a lot of effort into actually planning the game, organizing it and giving the briefing properly. I've got some footage because I have my 360 camera and I just put it down and to push the on button as they were doing the safety brief. So I'll try and I'm going to do a separate video on this actual time I'm talking about now, and I'll kind of run you through it. But I put it there. They literally gave a full safety brief, talked through everything. And then we did the first game was like what they'd like to do is a warm up, which is most sites that I play at, it's the same. And this was a team deathmatch. So 2 teams, you know, your objective is just to like get as many kills of the other team as possible. What I would say is a lot of the time when I go and play a team deathmatch, they don't record the kills. It's like right, this person's being killed, so therefore like just go back and respawn and then try again. And they'll just give a set limit. You don't really know how well you've done. You as an individual may have like, you know, killed a few people, but there's no like you're working really as a team. With this one, they had one of the like number clickers. So, you know, like one of those clickers that you just, bouncers have them on the doors of events to see how many people are going through. So every time you went back to respawn after you died, you had to hit the clicker. And that was like you hit that and then you get back in the game. And what was great, it was like each team has 60 lives. So one of the teams was going to lose. So it felt like even off the bat on that first game, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty awesome because there's actual point to me doing this. It isn't just kind of like a warm up. And I feel like that set the tone for the night quite well because it was very much like you kind of were already like bonded with your team. Sometimes when I play and it's like we're not counting anything, it kind of sets the entire night off in this like wishy-washy tone. And it's a bit like, oh, okay, right, well, we're not really like playing properly for like competition. We're just doing it like, you know, for a bit of fun, which you are. So that was really awesome. They did another game, which was like a hostage rescue where the defending team had like a limited number of lives, attacking team unlimited. You had lives at different stages. So you had to eliminate the enemy to get back, rescue a hostage. If any of the enemy were alive when you pulled the hostage out, then it was time penalties. So that was all timed. So they also had a whiteboard in the actual safe zone, which I thought was in the safe zone, which I think was awesome because they actually recorded the scores. So you could see on your team like what the score was. And then the final one they did was basically like it was kind of like, like an objective-based game where they had these little flashing red targets and you had to collect as many of those as possible and then bring them back to your safe zone. And the defending team weren't allowed to touch them, but they were there to defend them. Again, limited number of lives on one side. So it was just, yeah, really, really good fun. Like I really, really enjoyed it. So played with that, had tons of chats with James in the actual safe zone during the game. Just loads and loads to talk about. So that was really awesome. I was hearing about these, and these, I have to say, was probably like the highlight for me. I only had one when I got there because I have another one, but I'm saving it so that I can take it back to the US and not get it dirty and damaged and you know, put firearm residue all over it, which is, I'm worried will get flagged in the airport when I go back. But these things were awesome. A couple of the other players had them as well. If you haven't seen my little like unboxing video of this, it's basically a impact grenade that fires a 209 primer. So when you throw this thing gets knocked in certain direction, whatever direction it is. When it gets knocked, sorry, you can have it on safe like that by twisting, turn it on, basically take the safety off, and then inside here you have a 209 primer shell right there, and that thing gets pierced by the firing pin under here, which as soon as you move this, it gets deployed down into it, and that will set it off. It will make a very, very loud bang. And at that site, it was a like a 5 meter kill radius. So if you were in a room and one of these went off, you were dead. And I got so many kills with this. There were a couple of times where I'd throw one in and you just hear this like hit, 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 like dead man coming out, because there were 3 guys in the room and you would have been obliterated going in. So I think that if you're playing CQB environment, these things are like vital. Depends on the actual site that you're playing at, whether that is, you know, allowing these grenades, because some of the sites in California definitely don't because of fire risk, whether this is just a distraction grenade or actually like can kill enemies, it's going to make a big difference. But this thing, even as a distraction grenade, just throwing it in and then following it as it goes off was just, I don't know, it was really, really cool. So these things worked flawlessly, went off every single time. I had another one which was like an earlier model that I've used before called the Quake 8, and it's good, and it has like 8 different rounds that you can put into it. However, the first time I threw it, Jaeger Precision or James actually laughed, because he told me before, he was like, look, like these are fine and they do the job, but unfortunately, like they don't go off quite a lot of the time and they break very easily. And so I threw one. I think he had a look to be like, was that one of mine that didn't go off? And then he goes, was that the Quake 8? And I was like, yeah. And he had a giggle. So these, I would say, they're probably going to be from my experience of one night, these are going to be the new standard of, if you want reliability and you want it to go off, like this was flawless. The other thing is, apparently he's also going to be doing new bases for these. I don't know if I'm supposed to kind of talk about that, but apparently there's going to be new bases for these. So as of right now, I can only put one primer in there. It's going to fire off once, and then I just need to change the primer. He has now decided, or I don't know when he decided, but he's told me that they're going to do multi. So maybe like 3 or 4 shots, maybe even more. He's going to maybe do bases that do larger calibers, and I'll put a short up, and he's put a couple of shorts up of him using it, but he was using some much bigger charges and dropping those after the game when everyone had kind of left the site, and they were huge. So the awesome thing I think with this is you're going to basically be able to take this base and switch it out for whatever you're wanting to use, whether that's a multi-use one or whether that is for larger, you know, 9mm shells, 9mm blanks, or kind of what you want. But it was just awesome. Anyway, had a great chat with him. Just such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. I'm sure many of you guys do follow him, but if not, I'll put a link down to Jaeger Precision below. This site, absolutely amazing. So go and check them out, HC2. When I come back, I am definitely going to go back there. It was one of those CQB sites that was just big enough. There were a great amount of people playing, not too many, not too little. Multi-levels, different rooms. There was no like, oh, this is the same corridor, this is the same whatever. It was amazing. Night before that, sorry, I talked a lot about last night. Night before that, I actually went to Incursion, which was, again, a really, really cool site. This was in an abandoned World War II, like, air raid shelter bunker. Crazy trying to get in there. Like, we pulled up in the car, and I, like, saw someone getting out of the car with, like, airsoft gear. And I'm like, hey, do you know where Incursion is and where we go? And he was laughing. He was like, yeah. So you need to park your car around here. You cross over the road. You walk down this like area through this woodland and you'll find this entrance to a tunnel. You'll probably hear a generator going and that's how you'll know it's there. Walked into this place and it's literally like a kind of like a grid complex of tunnels, like crazy. It was kind of just very cool because it's very like the history of it. You know, you're walking around, you're like, oh my God, people probably were hiding down here during the bombings in World War II. I don't know the history specifically of that bunker, but that's what was going through my mind. Pitch black inside. Luckily they had the generator running and they had lights in certain areas, but completely black if the lights weren't on. Sometimes they turned the lights off or they'd flash the lights and you were like, wow, as soon as that goes off, there's nothing there. I was like, oh, it'd be a great place for night vision. One of the guys was like, actually, unless you have like military grade night vision with like an IR illuminator, you're not going to see anything because there is no ambient light. You're underground in a tunnel and there is no like moonlight, which has some amount of light to be amplified. Like there's nothing down there. So that was really cool. I was with a friend of mine, a really good friend who I used to play airsoft with regularly, and he hasn't played in like 8 years. So it was awesome to be able to just go back. I've obviously played a lot more recently and regularly than he has, but go back, play with him. And yeah, I have a video that will be coming out on that one as well. That's where I damaged the camera, etc. So I've done a bit of talking about that as well already. But tomorrow I'm heading to Reading. So that's probably about an hour's drive from here, an hour and 20 minutes. That's going to be a really cool all-day tactical woodland game, I think. So I'm quite excited for that. It's going to be a bit different because I've been playing CQB or indoor the last 2 nights. And then the next day I'm going to be going to South Coast CQB, which apparently is a really, really cool site. I think that's CQB, but it's a bit more of a mix. Like there's other areas and like larger kind of spaces between. So again, really, really excited about that. So if you guys want to see more me doing updates like this, definitely let me know and I'll just jump on for an update each night after I've done it. I can try and live stream and kind of talk through stuff like that. However, it's hard for me to touch any of this stuff when I'm doing it. So I've kind of stayed away from doing it in a live format. But yeah, so it's been going awesome so far. I have a ton of content. I've put up a couple of little shorts of some gameplay. I know you guys want to see gameplay stuff and there will be gameplay footage coming out. It's just trying to find the time to edit it while I'm also like prepping everything. I'm going to sit here now and just fill gas mags while I watch the TV. So that's going to be my kind of evening. But yeah, it's going to be, it's intense. So probably do a bit of editing on the flight on the way home, and then I'll do some when I get back to LA, and I'll have tons of like content for you guys in that format. But for right now, I'm going to be prepping, getting stuff ready. This MP5 as well was awesome. It's been really, really cool. It's definitely not got the same power as the Rattler, or it doesn't feel like it does, or the HK416, but it's just super, super consistent, and it's super satisfying to shoot it. It's not gas, so it doesn't have quite the same recoil, but it does have recoil. And so I've just really, really liked it. Everything so far has been semi-auto and not full auto or burst fire. So I've only been able to use it in its semi-auto function. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this thing. I'm kind of a bit sad that I can't bring this back to the US as well, because I think that would kind of be super, super, super fun. But yeah, that's not going to happen. All right, guys, that's going to be me for today with my little updates and my new light on my MP5. Let me actually just show you quickly what this looks like without. See, basically it looks exactly the same. If I want to, I can just whack this on here, lock it down, and then we're good to go with a little boom, boom. Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you very soon. Let me know what you want to know, and I will be there in the next video to say hi. Bye-bye.